What's up everybody, this is the Fourth here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you my #1 favorite way to pitch my hardstyle kicks. And this is the way that I've found it pitches perfectly. It doesn't change the relative character of the kick or anything. So basically it allows you to pitch from this to this, but keeping the duration the same. So like, you see it sounds exactly the same, but the duration is longer. So, a lot of people, I've made my kick in Sytrus, and this method only works for Sytrus or other VSTs with similar envelope settings. And if you have a kick that you've not made in Sytrus, don't worry, I'll cover those ways as well. They're just not nearly as good, in my opinion, as this method. So here's my kick. And it's going through a chain of effects. So if I pitch it just straight from the VST, you'll hear it doesn't really sound that good. It doesn't sound like this, which is much better in my opinion. And a lot of tutorials out there suggest to use these time stretching settings, which sometimes the monophonic sounds good, but for this example I'll show you it does not sound good to me. And like, if you can get one of these options to work well, that's great. But if you can't, then you're going to have a bit of a problem, because many different methods of changing your kick's pitch will end up sounding similar. Like, see this one, it loses the loudness. Same with that one. That one sounds weird. That one almost sounds good, except for the bass sounds horrible. But yeah, resampling would be a good one, but you lose the length. So if you know a little bit about sound, you'll know that if you go up an octave, it plays back half as long as the octave below, and the octave below that plays twice as long as that. So I use that information to pitch my kicks. And what I do is, I go in here, and for the octave example, here's my volume envelope setting. I take this, I keep this at 100% when I make the kick, so that I can pitch using this method. And I put it up to 200 would be a full octave. And then I do the same with the pitch. So now what I have is this, which I just brought in from my folder here. And you see, if I pitch it up an octave, it sounds exactly the same in terms of character, but it has the full length. And so, to get all the other values in between for all your other notes in the octave, you want to divide 100%, since you're going up, you're adding 100% to 100%, and divide it by 12, which is going to be 8.3 repeating, I believe, %. So I'm just going to do it with the volume in this example. So here would be your root note. One semitone up would be 108 point. You can't get the exact values. Like I can't get 108.33. I have 108.59, which is close enough. And that will pitch up a semitone perfectly. And just keep adding 8.33%. And I'll have all the values either in the description or on a web page that I'll link to, so you don't have to do the math yourself if you don't want to. And yeah, if you're kind of a perfectionist, you can do a new export for every single kick. But if you're less of a perfectionist, then you can just export them at every 25%. So 125%. And then if you do that, you can pitch, maybe like you pitch the root one up for one semitone, and then you pitch the next export down for the rest, the other two, because each 25% should be 3 notes, I believe. Now, the other method I like, if I can't use this method, is using new tone. Because new tone is the best sounding one that I've heard in most instances. Sometimes it doesn't sound that good, and usually you will end up having to layer a new bass on it because you lose the power of the bass when pitching with that method. But yeah, so maybe check out new tone or Melodyne or other pitching techniques. But if you can make your kicks with Sytrus so that you can use this method, I highly recommend it. And sometimes if you have a kick with a long tail, I'm going to use this kick. It's not a good example because it doesn't have a long tail, but what you can do is the slide pitching method, where it helps the kick be longer than if you have just the talk and then you pitch this one up separately, because this one has the talk and then it pitches up. So this stays the same instead of getting shorter. So to do that, I like to usually I find where the talk is going to be. Oops, I have to slide it. Okay, so I think that sounds good. And now I'm gonna pitch it up to here. And that gets you the nice bounce sound as well. And another way to do this is to get this same kind of sound, but using not one kick sample, is I'm copying that and I'm gonna paste it in here. And then I just mute this first one and have this second one turned on. And you can hear, it has the same kind of sound, but it has that longer tail too, which is really good. And then when you're using a layer to pitch it, like one for the talk and then one for the tail, you just want to make sure that you don't have like really bad phasing problems. If you have slight phasing problems, that's okay, but like you'll see that. I don't know, I almost want to say that it sounds better reversed, but it's hard to tell. But if you do something like this, you can kind of change the phase to fix any problems you might have. So that's just something to keep in mind, is look out for phasing problems. Because sometimes it'll, like, you'll lose the punch of the kick. Yeah, I'm gonna just listen to the bass real quick. This isn't a good example of a phasing problem, but sometimes you'll have them. And if you don't want to use the kind of bowing pitch way, you can just have it like this. And you can also do it in the channel settings with the volume envelope, but I prefer this method because it's easier. I can shift this. I can shift it, the second one, around a little bit if there should be any phasing issues. And yeah. Let me see. But yeah, hopefully this tutorial will help you. And again, this is why I suggest you make your kicks in Sytrus. It's because you have the option to do that. And if you need to use another method, I haven't found any that are up to my perfectionist standards, really. There are some that sound better than others, and like I said, new tone is a good example of one that sounds better. But yeah, thanks for watching, and subscribe if you want more tutorials. Cheers, guys.